Good evening, and welcome to everyone on Love 101 FM, Facebook, and YouTube Live. This is Family Time. Now, Family Time is about your issues, your relationships, your at home family, your community family, and your global family. Family Time is produced by Family Life Ministries, and our aim is to enable healthy families, which will lead to healthy nations. So stay with us and please connect with us via all our platforms. I don't mean you must go on all the platforms one time, but there are lots of platforms that you can connect to us through. You can friend us on Facebook at FLM-Family Life Ministries, or you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is Family Life Ministries-FLMJA. And on Instagram, you can keep up with what's happening at FLMJA. Now, while Family Time is a family program, we'd like to caution that sometimes it may, on occasion, touch on what some may consider to be mature subject matter. And we ask for your discretion. If you have young kids with you, or if you have people who you think need to be guided, please keep a listening ear out and ensure that you are able to add to whatever it is we are saying here and give them the necessary guidance. All right. My name is Roland Gale, and most of us could never imagine our household or the household of our neighbors losing family members, multiple family members, in one tragic, senseless, and unexpected event. And I really pray that never happens to any of us. But just imagine the financial, the emotional, the physical, the spiritual trauma that could and would be experienced by not only your family, but the whole community if something like that took place. When a community is plunged into grief, what do they do to heal? Whether it's due to a natural disaster or if it is caused by the hands of man, how does a whole community cope with the loss of valuable and loved members? What does collective grief look like? Think about those various levels of grief and sorrow. There are questions that will come up, questions that we want to ask, and some of those questions, the answers will never come. Today, we're going to try to explore all of that in this program, and we're calling it Community Grieving. That's our topic today. We all know about the massacre in Cherry Tree Lane in Clarendon, and this evening, we want to put ourselves in their shoes, and we want to send some words of comfort. And so the question tonight is, what would you say to a grieving member of the Cherry Tree Lane community? You can send your messages via WhatsApp text or by voice note, and make sure your voice notes are no longer than 30 seconds. And you send it to 876-997-3125, or you can call the studio lines at 876-968-8327 or 8328. You can participate that way. You can also watch us and comment live on Love 101 Facebook and on our YouTube channel. We're going to be right back with our special guest. He is Andre Allen Casey. Don't go anywhere.
Sometimes all we need is a listening ear. The listening ear, the counseling, the logical reasoning, and spiritual guidance are what appeal to us. That's why I'm here. I'm Dr. Joan Pinkney, the counselor, your counselor on Love 101 FM, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, 10 to 11 p.m. You know you can call on me. I will listen and more. So let's talk about what's bothering you. Anything. Tune in, listen, call in, text or voice message. I'm Dr. Joan Pinkney, counseling psychologist, ready with a listening ear. Tuesdays and Wednesdays, 10 to 11 p.m. Right here on the family station, Love 101 FM.
Temptations will always be with us, no matter how holy or Christian we may think we are. Things to ponder. Is temptation ever a good thing? Who causes it, Satan or God? What is temptation and how do we know when we're being tempted? Tuesday, August 20, on The Rock, join guests Errol Bean and Pastor Luke Smith as they discuss the topic temptation. That's The Rock, Tuesday, August 20 at 10 a.m. here on the family station Love 101.
Get ready for an inspiring time inside Love in the Morning. With me, your host, Jokal Dyer, this Tuesday, August 20. Grab your cup of coffee and start the day right with the Morning Coffee Pick Me Up devotional at 6 a.m. At 7 a.m., we bring you the Morning Watch with intriguing and thought-provoking discussions. At 8:30 a.m. inside The Healthy Way, we discuss hypnic jerks. Are you good at solving riddles? Well, listen in at 9:45 a.m. for question of the day in the form of a riddle. Riddle me this, riddle me that, guess me this riddle, and perhaps not. Stick and stay with us. This Island Vibes Tuesday inside Love in the Morning, 5 to 10 a.m. on the family station, Love 101.
Turn the radios up.
Welcome back to Family Time on Love 101. We have with us today as our guest Andre Allen Casey. He is a regular voice on Love 101's To Have and to Hold. He's a motivational speaker, he's a husband, and he's a father. But we in Radioland here know him as a counseling psychologist. Sir Andre, how are you, sir?
I am doing very well. I hope you can hear me loud and clear.
I can hear you loud and clear. Glad to be able to hear you loud and clear because we have a lot to cover today. Want to start quickly because we don't have too much time. Do we gain strength from pain and loss? Is there really strength in numbers even when the numbers are at their weakest? And these are questions we're pondering because I want you to think about them. I'm talking to the listeners now. I want them to think about that kind of thing as they consider words of comfort to the grieving members of the Cherry Tree Lane community. They can WhatsApp their text and voice notes and make them no longer than 30 seconds for the voice notes. That is the number 997-3125. Or they can comment live on Love 101 Facebook and on YouTube. Or they can call the studio lines 968-8327 or 968-8328 to participate. Time is flying, so we're jumping right in. Sir Andre, what is community or collective grieving? What is that?
Okay. Community grief, or also known as collective grief, it happens when a group of people, especially in a community, experience the fallout from a death or even multiple deaths. And so this is exactly what has occurred with the Cherry Tree massacre. That's what I would like to call it. And, unfortunately, but that's what it is. And so again, it speaks to where a community is experiencing a fallout from either death or multiple deaths.
Right, and that's the community. So how is it different from just an individual suffering from grief? What's the major difference between community grief and individual grief?
The primary difference speaks to the common effects in the stage of the grieving process. In other words, the person is, or this kind of person is having what it is having or how it is affecting most members of the community. In other words, most persons might be going through shock and denial, or they might be going through sadness and disbelief, or even anger, or blaming, or bargaining. But the idea here is that most persons are going through these emotions all at once. Whereas with individual grief now, you might find that they may not have a common reaction to the stage of grief.
That's interesting. They don't necessarily have a common reaction. Is
to
it
the stage
that
of grief?
To the state of grief, right? As I understand it, grief has various phases,
That's right.
Is it that the community would not go through grief all in the same way and go through the different phases at the same time? Is that
Well,
what happens?
quite on the contrary. I'm saying that the community may just very well go through it the same way, because all of
Right.
them,
Okay.
because of the common rather, pain that is experienced, the common loss that is experienced. So everybody, so if they're going through shock and denial, you might find that everybody might be going through shock and denial. And so sometimes, because there is um, a sharing where this is concerned, you find that um, they have the same kind of conversations with each other. They talk about the same kind of pain with each other, and this is why it feels so common, because everybody's having the same conversation. When it's an individual now, then different that individual might move from one stage to the next quicker than if it was a community, because the community kind of possibly wants you to stay there maybe a little bit longer, where in relation to that grief, or in relation to the pain that everybody's experiencing. A matter of fact, they might even go as far as to say, you can't get over it already. How comes you laugh? And kind of want to hold you into that zone a little bit longer, which might spell bad for you, as an individual who might feel the need to move on from this grief.
That's so interesting, sir, and I'm glad you have clarified it, because in my mind, I was kind of comparing it to a family, where a family could be considered a community. And say you have an extended family of whatever. Um, if we all have lost the matriarch or the patriarch, we go through it in different ways. And I was thinking the community would perhaps reflect that. But you're saying not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
There could be influences.
That's
Right.
right. And might I even add that even with the family, sometimes we have to remind family members that different persons grieve different ways, so they must not
Yeah.
impose on them how they choose to manage the pain or this painful experience. So sometimes we need to even say that to family members, because some family members might even want you to stay longer than you wish, as far as the mourning is concerned.
Right. What level of impact does this mass event have on a community? What kind of impact does it have on a community?
Great question. The levels of community, or the levels of community impact, I believe, surrounds the nature of the relationship that the deceased or those who died, um, in the community. For example, if it is a child, or maybe even an older person, then the degree of hurt experienced by the community may feel different. Once you are deemed innocent in the eyes of the community, then the fallout for them is disheartening, is disturbing, is disruptive. So that's the level of pain, or the levels rather, in which a community can be impacted. It is heavily dependent, one, on the nature of the relationship, and also number two, it depends on who passed. So if it's a child, then of course a lot of projection can go on. A lot of folks can say, "Boy, the child didn't get to live out their life." If it was an older person, the community might say, "Hey, why this is such an innocent person? Is old? Can you imagine when did we reach here where we are killing even older people and we're killing children?" And so
Right.
that's the levels of how it can impact a community. Again, dependent on the nature of the relationship and who is passed during such a crisis.
I get you, sir. Thank you so much. We're up on our first or second break now. This is the second break, I believe. So I want to remind our listeners, we want you to send words of comfort to the grieving members of the Cherry Tree Lane community. And we're looking forward to hearing what it is you have to say, because we want to let them know that they are a part of us and we are a part of them. Send your WhatsApp notes to 997-3125, or you can message us via Facebook or on our YouTube channel. And just so you know, the numbers for the FLM head office in Kingston are 920-1034 or 926-8101. And it is now 5:45 p.m. Going for a break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Every day you're an inspiration with the things them where you do. The everyday work and the everyday play. Whether you eat food with your friend them or you build track and run rhythm. Flow is committed to the everyday, going the extra mile, mile after mile every day. And the best is yet to come. Flow, every day better.
Ready to experience 6 times more freshness in your clothes? Try Downy Scent Beads. Its fragrance is so amazing, you have to sniff it to believe it. Try Downy Scent Beads today. 6 times more freshness versus using detergent alone.
Ready, set, go! Race down to Singer to get golden deals on appliances, electronics, and furniture. Be a part of the action with LG 4K Ultra High Definition televisions. Get a free microwave with the purchase of an electric stove. Stay cool with inverter ACs now at the lowest prices this summer. Get freezers starting as low as $39,995. Only Singer has 120 days for cash and 9 months no interest. Shop today for unbeatable credit. Conditions apply.
Join the family station Love 101 for Double the Love, Saturday, August 24, as we will be live on location in Spanish Town at the lay-by in front of the Sagicor Shopping Center from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Come spend the day with our Love 101 announcers, Jokal Dyer, DJ Parchment, and our resident DJ, DJ Rebirth. It promises to be a fun-filled day with games, prizes, surprises, giveaways. You don't want to miss it. Double the Love, Saturday, August 24 from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Spanish Town Sagicor Shopping Center, live on the family station Love 101. Sponsored by Price Smart Jamaica. One membership, many benefits. National Housing Trust, the key to your home. Institute of International Recognized Qualifications, an alternative pathway to success. Distinction College, providing opportunities for all. Recycling Partners of Jamaica, improving recycling habits across Jamaica. And Jamaica Pentecostal Union Apostolic.
Welcome back to Family Time, and we are having a discussion on community grieving. I have with me today Sir Andre, and Andre, I am going to ask you as we begin this section again. I'm going to ask you, what would you say to the members of the community in Cherry Tree Lane about what took place, and what brief comment would you give them?
Oh, sorry, that's a question to
yes,
me?
Yes, Sir Andre.
Oh,
Yes, that's to
sorry.
you. That's to you. Sorry. Yeah, that's to you.
I would want to, help them to recognize that it is important that they band together, especially since whatever they are going through right now, it is something that everybody can relate to. And as a result of which, that they are not alone. And this is a time where they need to try and be very supportive towards each other, be very giving, offer a shoulder to cry on. Whichever way we can lend our services in some tangible way to each other, go ahead and do so. Provide different resources and mechanisms that different persons might have at their disposal to support different persons, whether it be through a church community, invite people to church, go into their homes, sit down and pray with them, have conversations with them. Do not impose on them what you would do, but the standard from them where they are, where they are in this grieving process, and just let them know that you're here to offer a shoulder to cry on. You're more here to listen and to understand their pain and their grief, even as you give way to sharing your pain and your grief. That's what I'll say to them.
Wow, that's important stuff, and we invite our listeners as well to share their words of comfort to the grieving members of the Cherry Tree Lane community. Um, you know, as I was listening to you, Sir Andre, it came to my mind the whole story of the Good Samaritan, and when one of us is beaten, when one of us is down, when we have lost and we perhaps don't know how to find our way through, it's up to the others around to step in and to do what they can. Consider if it had been you, what you would have liked others to do. And that's kind of my word to them. Think about how you would have wanted help or what kind of input you would want, and offer and don't wait on them to ask you. Just offer it because
That's right.
they need it. Um, Thanks for that word, Andre. I really appreciate it. Let's get back to the discussion. Um, how do we know when a community is grieving, Andre? How do we know, and what are the very brief outline of what grieving is about? Can you share that with us?
Okay. Basically, when you see where there's more hyperactivity or that exists, where, in other words, if persons used to live a normalized life, so to speak, but now they're looking around, every time they're afraid now to gather. They're afraid they're not going to be playing any more bingo or anything, any kind of games and what have you. But no social gathering is going to be taking place now because of what has happened. That's how you know that, you see, that they are not only grieving, but the hypervigilance is what has now overtaken them. You can also look at weight gain or changes in their appetite, sleep difficulties, restlessness, crying, constant crying, even crying and laughing, but crying and laughing constantly. Some folks might even feel a lump in their throat, shortness of breath, not to mention anxiety, also shock and numbness, sadness, obviously irritability, anger, guilt, regret, feeling of emptiness, disbelief, difficulty concentrating, preoccupation with the thoughts of the deceased or the event, preoccupation where that is concerned, that where every waking moment, that is your conversation piece, so to speak, dreams of the deceased or sensing even their presence. I mentioned impatience with others can also occur. And even those folks who may even want to be withdrawn and do not really want to be a part of anybody who would want to come and have a conversation and meet with them. These, I know it's a lot, but we can, well, I just want to give you a working idea as to what it could look like as a community.
Yeah, that is a lot. And as I hear you say all those things, I'm wondering now, can the community really heal from all of that? When you talk about the hypervigilance and the anxiety and the change of their normal everyday life, how does or can the community really heal from that?
Oh, well, most definitely. And I say because, but for that to happen, the goal to heal must first be communicated. Then steps to achieving it must then be implemented. So let me say that
Communicated to who? Communicated to who?
To the folks who are grieving, the folks who are going through all of these signs of grief.
Right.
The goal of healing needs to be communicated to them. And this is why you need now the government to send counselors, and this is where churches and trained counselors would need to go into these communities and to have a conversation with folks to remind them that the goal to heal, that must be their goal, and not become distracted by the pain. And I use not to become distracted because if every time, whenever we are talking or meeting as a group, we are reminiscing on what happened, then that can also serve as a distraction to the goal of healing, because then you are ruminating on your pain, and understandably so, because that's what naturally happens, by the way. And so one thing that we can do is to remind them about what is the goal. The goal here is to heal. And so I'm saying here, create within folks the will to become resilient then. If the goal is healing, then we need to create within them the will to become resilient. Remind them of the various challenges that they overcame in the past. It may not be of this magnitude, but to remind them that, hey, you remember when you overcame this, and remember, so listen to their stories of resilience, and let them know that they can tap into those resources and thinking processes once more to help them to not only achieve the goal of healing, but to remind them that resilience now becomes an integral part of that healing process. And not to mention, and let me squeeze in this, and not to mention, how do they then model to their children and to their loved ones who also experience this? Because as adults now, they are going to have to be the example to teach the younger ones how to manage this pain. But if they allow the pain to manage them, then unfortunately, that's what the children will learn, and it's going to also affect their ability to overcome.
Right. What is the kind of time frame that you would expect this to take place across?
Time frame. Wow. I would say there's no time frame. We don't have any set time as to what can be done, but at least put it into their minds. So why we don't have a set time, because everybody's going to be processing it differently, and it might even serve as a trigger for some folks whom by and large would maybe they had a loss in their own family members, and they're still trying to struggle with that, and then this community upheaval and massacre has now occurred, and as a result of that, it has only served as a trigger. It has only set them back more than anything else. And so what I'm kind of just also saying here, so a time frame might differ from person to person, because we may not know an individual's context and whether or not this is serving as a trigger for them. But notwithstanding, reminding them though that they have to not only take time to heal, but make the time to heal, because that has to be a constant goal.
Thank you so much for that, Andre. We are up on another break. This is Family Time on Love 101 FM. You can connect with us on YouTube and on Facebook. Family Time is produced by Family Life Ministries. And for our social media interaction, we want you to send words of comfort to the grieving members of the Cherry Tree Lane community. Consider if it were your community, and think about what you perhaps would like to hear from others. You can send your WhatsApp text or voice notes to 876-997-3125, or you can comment on our Facebook page, as I said, and on our YouTube channel. You can also call the studio lines, 876-968-8327 or 968-8328. We want to hear from you. Tonight in particular. This evening, our topic is community grieving. It's break time, but don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back.
Ready, set, go! Race down to Singer to get golden deals on appliances, electronics, and furniture. Be a part of the action with LG 4K Ultra High Definition televisions. Get a free microwave with the purchase of an electric stove. Stay cool with inverter ACs now at the lowest prices this summer. Get freezers starting as low as $39,995. Only Singer has 120 days for cash and 9 months no interest. Shop today for unbeatable credit. Conditions apply.
Have you just finished grade 11? Looking for a 2-year sixth-form pathway to earn overseas local certificate diploma and advanced diploma and get qualified to work locally and internationally? Register now. Start free sixth form at IIRQ Academy. Start our new sixth form program online or face-to-face classes in September. Choose between pathway 1, 2, or 3. Paid for by the Ministry of Education. For more information, call 876-322-4029 or visit 32 Hope Road, Kingston. Website www.iirq.org.
Every Thursday morning, Love 101 shares with you power-packed messages, words of encouragement, and testimonies of God's miraculous power. You get all of that in the Don't Give Up broadcast, brought to you by Celebration Church at the Portmore Skating Rink in the Portmore Mall with Pastor Prophet Michael Carter. Be sure to stay tuned to Love 101 for the Don't Give Up broadcast. Get the word you need to start your day right. The Don't Give Up broadcast, Thursdays at 5:15 a.m. It's on the family station, Love 101.
It's gonna be all right. And he knows my name.
Here is your opportunity to connect with someone who will listen, pray, and give guidance. It's the Ministry of Counseling and Prayer of the Edgewater Baptist Church. Please call 876-220-6474 or 876-332-7956. Weekdays between 8 a.m. and 9 p.m. Saturdays and Sundays between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Please talk to someone if you're finding it particularly challenging to cope during this period of crisis. Someone is waiting for your call. Please reach out today, 876-220-6474 or 876-332-7956. It's the Telephone Counseling and Prayer Ministry of the Edgewater Baptist Church. A reminder that somebody cares. Endorsed by Love 101.
When I come to the end of myself, Father, carry me.
Welcome back. It is now about 2 minutes past 6 according to my clock, and you are tuned into Love 101 FM. This is Family Time, brought to you by Family Life Ministries. Family Life Ministries provides counseling for people with all kinds of challenges from all walks of life. And our discussion this evening is community grieving. We are in particular talking about the community of Cherry Tree in Clarendon, the Cherry Tree Lane community. And with me here is my special guest, Andre Allen Casey, and it is so good to have him on. He's not a stranger here on Love 101 at all. Sir, we've been talking about a number of different things, and I just wanted to ask you, what are some of the difficulties that we face when we are talking about grieving? What can make grieving more difficult for a community like Cherry Tree Lane?
Well, the grieving can become a whole lot more difficult because, again, as it relates to the nature of the passing. So if we consider, in other words, if somebody died by natural cause, then yes, we'd grieve, but the grieving would possibly, but the intensity of this grief might be different. If, however, we believe that, the occurrence of Cherry Tree Lane was one that could have been avoided, then in our minds, this is injustice. It is cruel, and so it is a life that was taken or gone too soon, and of such. the grieving process now can feel a little more difficult, because so you might find that folks might be more angry than anything else into the grieving process, and therefore wants justice. If we're not careful, even revenge and retaliation might forge in the hearts and minds of some folks. Why so? Because it could have been avoided. This did not have to happen, or the nature of this, of what occurred, could have easily been avoided. And so a lot of folks then would have feel robbed because of what has happened, which then gives way to the anger and pain that they are experiencing, and therefore even an attempt to calm them down and ask them to think objectively about their next course of action can even be somewhat challenging, because they think this is quite unjust, or most definitely an injustice has occurred.
That leads me to think something, Sir Andre, and it is this: if the community does not see the wheels of justice turning in this particular case, because as you said, this is something that need not have happened, and this is now a legal matter and so on. If the community does not find that the justice that they want is forthcoming, does that impact on them being able to grieve properly and moving past?
Definitely, because they are going to feel like they have been robbed, at least in two different ways: robbed of friends and families, and just robbed of what justice could look like. Also, how do they feel like they can have any kind of hope going forward if this is what they are going to be looking forward to? They do not, robbed of their freedom, robbed to congregate and to gather, robbed of the ability to have fun. And so unless in the minds of some, I'm not saying all, in the minds of some, I can feel safe again, then my ability to have hope again can somewhat be tarnished. And so this is why counseling is very, very important, or even this program that we're doing here now, to remind our listening audience about the challenges that they are having and what kind of support we can lend, because we now understand their context. So yes, it can interfere with the healing process for them.
Absolutely. All right. What about children as opposed to adults? Do we treat children differently in a case like this? This is a huge community, or a community at large has been affected. Do we deal with children differently than we deal with adults?
Most definitely, because remember now that if the children do not, the children oftentimes can be sidelined, because they do not have an arena to express themselves. And so we definitely will have to find a place to not only interact with them, but to have them to express their feelings and the fears that they are having, and how we can help them to understand the context, or their own context, and help them to alleviate this fear or these fears. So most definitely, they would need to be intervention will have to take place for them in a special way.
Do children grieve differently than adults?
All of them, everybody grieve almost the same way, meaning, but the degree in which it is done or the way it is expressed is what is different, oftentimes. So sadness is sadness. Now, how do I display that sadness now might differ from gender and age. Yes.
The reason why I ask that is because sometimes we hear the comment that they don't really understand what's going on, depending on how young they are. But as you said, people will be sad in their own way.
That is correct. But not only that, for the children to remember, they are still trying to harmonize and to understand what has happened. But it doesn't mean that they might not be having intrusive thoughts. It doesn't mean that they are not also sad. It does not mean that they do not. They have now developed a trust issue, because I cannot trust what my safety can look like going forward. It's not good enough for me to just go home. No, I still feel like I have to run, go home, because somebody might kill me. So you have to now understand how they are processing this, and how it can or possibly will impact how they live their lives going forward.
Right. What can members of this community actually do for themselves? What can they do to try to help each other?
Well, most definitely, we want to encourage the members of the community to, again, as I said earlier, to be supportive to each other, to lend their resources to each other, to be very understanding, to facilitate and do not dictate, to also validate. I guess that's the word I'm looking for more than anything else. Which then means that how we listen to each other and listen to the
validate
pain.
What, Andre? Andre, validate what?
Validate their feelings.
Validate what?
Validate their feelings. It is important that we validate their feelings.
Right.
Don't know if you got that. Right. So validate their feelings. So in other words, we have to be careful that we don't say things to them like, you still a cry over that? Or what you make that a bother you for? Like it's important that we don't complain or let them feel as if to say, because they are crying maybe a little bit more than others, they should not be doing so. Or sometimes we want to impose on them how we have what we have done and how we.
I'm not sure if you have lost.
Me, busy as usual, so I don't have no time for whole heap of paperwork. That's why I downloaded and signed up for my One JN Passport app. It's a whole new level of convenience and access to services within the JN Financial Group. Just a few taps on my smartphone and maps. I can update my personal information, open a JN Bank savings account, and even apply for an unsecured loan. Get it all in one go. Download and sign up now. The One JN Passport app. JN will help you find a way.
The report is out.
What report?
The Constitutional Reform Committee's report of recommendations.
Recommendations on what?
On how we move from a monarchy to a republic, of course.
So what's in it?
The creation of the office of president and changes to our parliament. Yes, man. It also includes a new qualification for membership in parliament. I know you want to see that one.
Read the full report at roadtorepublic.mlca.gov.jm.
We are on the road to republic.
Receive words of strength from the Voice of Power with Bishop Dr. Delford Davis.
The battle of seed has been declared many years ago and is still raging. I will put enmity between thee and between the woman, thy seed and her seed. A war will be on perpetually until Jesus returns. But I know who has already won the war. I know who has already won the war.
That's the Voice of Power with with Bishop Dr. Delford Davis, brought to you by the Power of Faith Ministries International in Portmore. Voice of Power comes to you every Thursday at 9:30 a.m. right here on the family station, Love 101.
Speak, my Lord. Speak, my Lord. Speak, and I will answer, Lord, send me.
Temptations will always be with us, no matter how holy or Christian we may think we are. Things to ponder. Is temptation ever a good thing? Who causes it, Satan or God? What is temptation, and how do we know when we're being tempted? Tuesday, August 20, on The Rock, join guests Errol Bean and Pastor Luke Smith as they discuss the topic temptation. That's The Rock, Tuesday, August 20 at 10 a.m. here on the family station, Love 101.
Welcome back. It is now about 16 minutes past 6. We had a little bit of a break, but don't worry, we're here now. You're tuned to Love 101. This is Family Time. It's brought to you by Family Life Ministries, and Family Life Ministries provides counseling for people with all kinds of challenges from all walks of life. Remember, you can tune into the program via our Love 101 Facebook page or our YouTube channel. The topic today is community grieving, and I have with me our special guest, Andre Allen Casey. Welcome back, sir. He is a motivational speaker and a counseling psychologist and a friend of Love 101. Welcome back, Andre. Are you hearing me okay? Not hearing you right now, Andre. Hope you can read it. We're just going over some of the things that we had spoken about, and I think I'm hearing.
Able to hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you now.
Right.
Yes, I'm hearing you very well. Great. Thanks for rejoining us. We are running out of time, and so we just want to get on to the topic now of health. What role would our families and our churches play in this community grieving process?
I do believe that the relationship with family can go a long way in lending support. Why? Because we generally, Roland, trust their intent, even if their content is somewhat skewed. Oh gosh, and I don't know if that was clear, but let me say it again.
That is so clear. But
okay.
Say it again a different way.
Right. I'm saying that to say. So we're talking
again, sir.
Right. So we're talking about, I guess, the role of the family and the church. Yes.
Yes.
And I'm saying here that the relationship with family, I believe it can go a long way in lending support. Why so? Because we tend to normally trust the motive of family. In other words, even if the family say the wrong thing to us, or they must say it in the right manner.
Yes, we tend to believe that they have our best interest at heart. And that's why I really appreciated what you said.
Right.
Are you there, Andre? Yes, go ahead.
Right. So that is the role of the family. Now the church, I believe, now must continue to be a beacon of hope and an agent of faith to these communities. You see, when people find themselves in a crisis of this magnitude, our families and the church must remain a constant and a stabilizing means of support. Why the beacon of hope and faith? Because if you think about it, most folks' faith and hope is going to be challenged once we're going through any type of crisis or a crisis of this magnitude, our faith and our hope is going to come under scrutiny. It's going to be challenged. And so therefore, this is where the church community now comes in to say, hey, don't lose hope, don't lose faith. And that's and this is how I think it's important where the role of the church and the family is concerned.
Right. Now, why would people be seeking help? When should they seek it? Why would they be seeking help from either the family or the church or even government agencies?
I have a very simple answer for that one, at least in my mind. And it is simply this, when our ability to navigate life's journey feels more problematic than it should be, then we're naturally going to seek help. Or we should seek help. Again, why? Because our ability to navigate life's journey is becoming too problematic. We can't sleep, we can't think, we can't concentrate, we can't cope. We're having intrusive thoughts, we're losing our appetites, we're having a lot of nightmares and dreams, and flashbacks. Yeah. Once we find that these things are happening to us, then it is enough reason for us to say, hey, I need help, I need support.
Absolutely. Sir, as we are wrapping up, there's something that came into my mind, and it has to do with the nature of the grieving. Are the communities open to actually going to get help from the places they should get help from all the while? Or is there any kind of fear about perhaps what may meet them when they are going to get help? Is there any kind of drawback that you can think of for people in these communities to go and get help?
Well, I would recommend that help goes to them. and not necessarily where they need to go finding help. You have to understand that fear is gripping these folks. Their faith is coming to question.
Your faith came into question, right? That is true. Faith would come into question. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why we so want to have the church and family members get involved.
And family members get involved, yes.
Right. So we do have a voice note. A voice note from one of our listeners. Can we go ahead and hear that?
Good evening. This is Sister Riri here, and I just want to send condolences to those people in the Cherry Lane. Our own Nisi have family there, and I mean, word will never describe how we feel about it, and we are mourning with you, and we pray that God will strengthen you, because He said His strength made perfect in your time of weakness. God bless you.
Appreciate that, Sister Riri. I think that was Sister Riri. Do we have any other voice notes or messages that we want to share? Just listening out for that. And sir, we were talking about getting help. What are some resources? What are some agencies? Where can help be found?
Well, I mean, I will tell you the most obvious one that comes to mind: Family Life Ministries. Call us, at the numbers that has been given at the beginning and throughout this program, 876, is it 931 1034 or something to that effect, or 926 or 931?
I will repeat it. I will repeat it later. But Family Life Ministries is certainly one. It's certainly one. Our head office at 920-1034 or 926-8101. Those are the numbers for our head office at Family Life Ministries. Does the
There's also a
government?
national helpline. Yes,
Right.
a
Okay,
national
that's what I was
helpline.
asking.
Right, is also um, another medium that can be utilized to lend that support. Most definitely go to your local churches to find out what kind of support they are prepared to lend, to give to you. And we invite these churches to go out into the communities and lend support to folks. But definitely a listening ear, just to hear their pain and give them that opportunity to speak about their fears and how they can overcome these fears is very, very important.
Right. I actually got a comment that I would want to share. It's from a listener, Conroy, and he says to the Cherry Tree Lane community, he says, pray, pray, pray. Whether you believe in God or not, just pray. You see, this helps to have quiet time with God. Talk to Him, let Him know the pain you are facing, cry to Him. He does care. And he goes on to say that he remembers when he wanted somebody to talk to, nobody was there. And he went on his knees and he cried. And he said he spoke to God and God never failed him. That is a comment from one of our listeners. Thank you for that, Conroy. So that's another comment to the Cherry Tree people. Andre, what kind of words of advice and encouragement would you give to Cherry Tree Lane and any community that is grieving right now?
You have the right to relieve yourself of pain. So don't ever ask permission for this gain. Let me say it again. You have the what? The right to relieve
Right.
yourself of You have the right to relieve yourself of pain. So don't ever ask permission for this gain. You have to understand that your own healing, you must see yourself taking care of yourself emotionally, spiritually, and physically. That is your responsibility to you. Don't further empower the situation, but what kind of self-talk you are giving to yourself to encourage hope and to rebuild faith so you can have a proper reconstruction for your life and livelihood.
Excellent, sir. Thank you very much. We are just about on the end of it here. And I just want to say thanks to everyone. Thank you, Sir Andre, for being with us. Our
My
guest
pleasure.
today was Andre Allen Casey. Bless you, sir. This has been a very important program. And I want to tell our listeners, our viewers, if you have any questions of a personal nature, or you are concerned about a friend or a family member, call us. For more information on our services or for our counselors in Kingston and other parts of the island, contact the Family Life Ministries head office at 876-920-1034 or 876-926-8101. Note that for appointments and information on costs, you must call the offices, all right? Otherwise, you can keep up to date with what's happening with FLM and our programs by checking us out on our Facebook page at FLM-Family Life Ministries, or you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, Family Life Ministries-FLMJA, and on Instagram, and that is simply FLMJA on Instagram. Before we leave you, check out this evening's Bible verse. It's taken from Psalm 34, verse 18, and it says, "The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit." Let me read that again. It says, "The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit." And that is specifically for our family and friends in Cherry Tree Lane. Join us again next week for another informative program. Thanks again to our special guest, Andre Allen Casey. And thanks also to our producer, Kathy Gale, studio facilitator. And our studio facilitator this evening is a brethren by the name of Daniel Downs. Thank you, Daniel. You did a good job today. Always respect your brother. And I also want to say thank you to our listeners and our viewers. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Roland. God bless you.